So, while you were placing the flares, you didn't find there were no human remains?
No. Especially if we keep our expectations low, Mary.
Yeah, of course. I just don't want to leave empty-handed.
Me neither. Well, we'll know soon. I did find you an entrance, though.
Oh yeah? Where to?
Administration.
You'd think that having thalassophobia would mean this game was a nightmare for me, and while certain parts were unsettling, I had a much easier time getting through it than I expected. The same cannot be said for resisting emotional gut punches, but it's a DLC for Still Wakes the Deep, so crying should be a given. Siren's Rest has a grave-like presence to it, and that is entirely by design, as you play the role of a saturation diver called Mary, trying to discover what happened to the Beira D and her crew over a decade later. Your main objective is to retrieve the data recorder, while your secondary objective is the collection of personal effects and documentation of bodies, which should be no big deal if this were an ordinary dive. And of course, this couldn't possibly be an ordinary dive. Everything starts mundanely enough in the cozy confines of a diving bell. It's the year 1986, 11 years after the Beira D was lost. You and your diving partner, Rob, have descended to a ledge overlooking the wreckage, and it's your job to find a way into marine control where the data recorder can be found. This early section is gentle with you, and I appreciate that immensely. It's more about getting you used to the environment and setting the tone than outright unsettling you. As I said before, there's a feeling to the game like you're disturbing a grave, picking over the remains of the rig and trying to understand what happened as you find one of the crashed lifeboats and the helicopter, confirming that both escape routes failed, rendering the crew completely at the mercy of what was happening. I almost said they were completely helpless, and that felt incorrect, like it lessened the efforts of Brody, Finley, and Kaz to survive in spite of it all when everyone else had fallen. Regardless, I don't want to spoil who Mary is in relation to the crew, because that's where the biggest gut punch comes from compared to the creeping somberness of everything else, so I won't talk about why she's so invested. What I will say is that this is less of an outright horror experience compared to the main game. Most of the threats you face are environmental, as the creaking wreckage of the Beira D shifts and settles around you, a hulking skeleton of metal and machinery, filled with memories and shadows and the calcified remains of what destroyed it all, leaving Mary and her team none the wiser as to its true nature.
Is this? No, it can't be.
What do you see?
Coral? But it's probably too cold and too deep for that.
Deepwater corals thrive in the North Sea. They like hydrocarbon-heavy waters.
I checked for protected reefs before this expedition. We have them all across the Norwegian coast. Came back negative.
Well, I guess people didn't know about these ones.
Well, we'll be able to report back and you find them when we finish.
Steady on, Cousteau. One step at a time.
If you want to play the DLC without any further spoilers, deplane immediately, because I want to talk about the danger you face towards the end of the story. Okay, we good? Right. I almost thought that the shape was absent, that it had simply gone dormant once the rig was destroyed. For most of the runtime, I had the impression that the game was simply playing on my fear of it, expecting it to be there, lurking in the depths of this slow-rotting tomb. Would it have been better that way? Hard to say. I think it's a matter of what works more for you. If you want Mary's experience to be shaped by grief and narcosis, or by the lingering remnants of this unknowable, unfathomable creature messing with her mind. Which isn't to say that both couldn't work together, but personally, I don't think that what's left of the shape really served anything. It felt like the titular Siren was there because the game felt like it had to threaten you with a monster to keep your attention, when I think the strength of this DLC lay in the unsettling stillness of the Beira D wreckage, interrupted by the structure shifting and collapsing around us, eventually hiding all remaining traces of the shape except for the audio from the data recorder. And this would render what happened a disaster that could never be demystified, because all that's left is unidentified coral and unearthly screams from the recorder that could be written off as data corruption. The monsters were more effective in the main story because they were both people Kaz knew and worked with, and there was still something recognizably human about their appearance most of the time. The Siren, by contrast, is just this oily, swimming blob with skulls sticking out of it that feels detached from the experience. Is it threatening? Of course it is. It will kill you in an instant. Did it unsettle me the way Trots or Muir did? Not at all. In my opinion, Muir from the main game was the most tragic example of the infected, and therefore, to me, the most upsetting. Screaming at everyone to stop running away from him, begging and crying for someone to help him, but completely unable to stop himself from killing them if they listened. A creature that either mimics or allows just enough humanity through to trick its prey into coming closer is always more unsettling to me. It's why I have a love-hate fondness for the unknown in Dead by Daylight, or as I call him, Crunchy Spaghetti Boy. You see why. Point is, I don't think this DLC needed a monster when the forensic exploration and environmental hazards were enough, but I'm not upset that there was one. This does kind of make me want a game where someone is investigating the aftermath of The Thing, however, considering how much the shape reminded me of that film. Honestly, I would like more games where your job is to try and piece together some horrific event after the fact. Like, imagine trying to figure out what happened to the USG Ishimura from Dead Space without being able to talk to Isaac Clarke or knowing about necromorphs. That would be absolutely horrifying as it comes together. Anyways, Siren's Rest is a good little chunk of content if you were craving some more Still Wakes the Deep. Just keep in mind that it is a different experience, and you should be fine. See you all next time. Also, in case you missed it, I have a Discord server now, link below. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below for the algorithm gods. Special shout out to my supporters over on Patreon, who are all very handsome people. If you'd also like to be called a very handsome people, check out the link in the description where you can support me from just £1 a month. All tiers get their name in the credits, while members of the Nerd tier will occasionally get behind-the-scenes previews and video teasers. If you enjoy live streaming, I can be found over on Twitch, where I stream every Wednesday at 8 PM British time. For now, don't forget to drink your water, take your medication, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you all next time.